All right, so I want to talk to you today about a topic that comes up all the time. I'm getting this question very frequently right now, and it's because of the time of year, January 10th, at the time of filming this video, which again, the new year, the new buzz, the new goals. This is the time pretty much everybody's doing this, and the fitness industry in general kind of goes to 100 very quick. And right about now is the time that people do start to fall off, right? A lot of you watching this video may have already kind of fallen off, but if you're a competitor, you probably never feel like you did fall off. However, I want to open your mind a little bit to some things that people are doing right now that could be holding you back from still getting to your best physique on stage, from still winning your class, or getting a pro card or whatever, 2025, whatever your goal is. And that's being lenient with yourself because the season ain't here. Okay, so right now, this time of year, January, February, March. I mean, bodybuilding's pretty barren. There's a few shows here and there. I got athletes competing in the competitions happening this month in just a few weeks here, but it's definitely not the majority of people out here. Most competitors use the late part of the year, right? October, November, December, and into then January, February, March to kind of do whatever they doing. And a lot of times that means getting off track with your nutrition through the holidays, maybe skipping the gym, being a little bit more lenient, blah, blah, blah. And into January, February, March, you don't really have any competitions to do right now. And it's not something that people are just clicking into. So a lot of times these months end up being an extension of the holidays. And it's very easy to have developed some bad habits through the holidays, maybe being a little bit more lenient with your workouts, maybe eating a little bit more junk food, maybe it's drinking a little bit more alcohol, whatever it is. Those habits can easily bleed themselves into this new year and kind of hold you back from your ultimate success on stage, right? And so right now, I want to make a video to kind of just talk to you out here watching, you as a competitor, you as somebody who has goals this year, things you want to achieve. What should you be doing right now? And that's the question I get all of the time. I'm getting it every day right now. Hey, what should I be focusing on? My show's not all the way till July. It's not till August. I don't know what to be doing because there's nothing happening. I'm not in prep, so I'm off prep. So that means by default, I'm going to be a little bit more off with everything, right? No, the answer is winners are created in the times like this. Winners are going to be created in those moments when there's no reason to be on point, okay? And this is why in bodybuilding world, in a competitor world, you may see that there's a high variety with how people approach their off seasons, their improvement seasons. Some people straight throw in the towel. I know when I watched Ronnie Coleman, one of the greatest bodybuilders of all time, he would talk about his off season. I think it was on Joe Rogan podcast. And he said, after Olympia, I just quit. I quit for a few months. I wouldn't do a single thing. I wouldn't go to the gym, wouldn't diet, wouldn't nothing. That today, not very common. I mean, and Ronnie Coleman, again, we know one of a kind of dude that was able to get away with stuff like that. Nobody's ever looked like him since. Nobody ever will look like him again. And, that's kind of not the best advice for those of you out there, because what ends up happening is if you do that, you skip the training, you skip the gym, you skip out on, your diet and eat whatever you want, you're going to have repercussions from that. And a lot of you watching probably already experienced some of that through the holidays, right? It's not uncommon. And why also January 1st, New Year's resolutions. I mean, this is what everybody does. Even competitors are doing this. Because you've gotten off track, you've been a little bit more lenient, you've probably gained a little bit more body fat, you probably got a little bit less in the zone with your training, a little bit less mentally motivated, a little bit less focused on your goals. And that's normal. That's what happens. But I'm telling you now, it's January 10th, and it's time to turn that button if you haven't, right? If those habits that you created back then bled into this year, it's time to, put a Band-Aid on that and get moving on, because we got goals, we got things to accomplish. And I just want to reiterate this point, this time of year, where we're at now in, January and February and March, when shows generally don't happen as much, when people generally are not in prep, this is when the winning physiques are made. All of the pros you look up to, all the ideas of the top athletes in your journey, everybody that you could look to and say is a superstar in the sport of all time, the greatest of all time, they don't take no breaks. They don't take no off seasons. They don't go do this and that, right? They're always on point to a degree, and I'm sure so are you. And that's why you get to be a little bit of a pickle for yourself, where maybe you've been being too lenient and it's actually holding you back quite a bit, and you're still checking the boxes enough that you don't realize that, right? Like, if this sounds familiar, you're one of these people. If you've been mostly going to the gym, but you missed a few here and there, no big deal. If you've been mostly on point with your diet and you had a little bit extra here and there, but no big deal. And if you've been, maybe normally you don't drink, but you start drinking a little bit through the holidays because why not? And maybe the sleep, you've been missing out on that a bit, and water intake could be better, but you're still hitting most of it, right? You see how all of that, you're still kind of checking those boxes. You're still getting it all done, but you're really not actually progressing yourself forward. So ultimately what ends up happening then is you're wasting this time. You're wasting this ability to get ahead, to actually make those muscle developments, to make those physique changes, to improve your body composition, whatever it is you need to do as a competitor. You're missing out, because it's very easy for you to go walk into your local gym, stand next to, the average gym goer who's in there for New Year's resolutions, and say, okay, well, I'm doing better than them, right? Because you're a competitor, you're on point, you're doing your stuff, you're executing. Well, the truth is, though, if you're executing at half capacity, and it could be half better, you're doing yourself half of what you could be doing, which is not ultimately a great result in the end, right? If we already know your journey as a competitor is going to be hard, it's going to be a lot of work, it's going to be a lot of time, energy, and effort, then, every minute that you're going to clock in for that, you might as well clock all the way, because if you don't, you're wasting your time, your energy, and your effort for a lesser result at that point, which really just doesn't make any sense. So really, I want to make this video today to tell you this is the time to dial back in if you've been off. And a lot of you have, and a lot of you watching probably felt, some familiarity in some of the words that I've said to you here. And that's okay. That's normal. That's what happens to everybody at this time of year. And that's what happens to, all sorts of everyone that you could even look up to or think would be what you would want to become in this sport. That's what happens to everybody. But the key is going to be clicking that button back on now, getting back in the zone, getting back to work, and going back to the game. And so you need to start now building better routines, building better habits, erasing some of the ones you picked up over the years, the New Year's, in other words, right? Like that holiday stretch from October to December, whatever bad habits you picked up and you still got running, time to throw them away. Let's start building some new habits. Let's get back in the routine of waking up early if that's your thing, and getting to the gym. Let's get back in the routine of really prioritizing your water, even though it sucks to have to go to the bathroom 50 times a day, to really get back into the routine of bringing maximal intensity to your workouts in the gym, not just showing up, to get back in the routine of making less space in the diet for, junk food and things we know are not optimal for goals. Get back in the routine of not drinking alcohol as much and doing things like this that we know is holding you back, right? And if you could start doing that and you click these boxes now, you get yourself a nice buffer zone to be able to move into a very successful season this year. Because you can take January, February, March even in these ways to improve your physique, to build muscle, to add shape, and to do it in an on-point way where this time is not wasted. It's gained, it's earned, it's an advantage. Because as you watch this, right, and if you're still here, thank you for watching. A lot of people already clicked out. I probably already made a lot of people angry. I probably already pissed off a lot of people that couldn't hear that and were like, oh, well, what does Coach Ryan know, right? Like, he's talking about my wine that I want every night. I'm clicking out. Okay, well, that's the good thing for you if you're still watching. If you're still watching now, you can gain this advantage on those people that clicked out. You can actually go to work tonight to change things, and those people won't, and they're going to waste the next 3, 4, 5, 6 months. And then have to get their shit together later. You can get it together now, get ahead of the curve, and get to work now, which is a massive advantage for you on any stage, and any stage of life, really, to be honest with you. Because while everybody else is off, you can get in the zone, and you can get ahead, and you can make those things happen. So that's what I suggest you do, create these habits now. Start rebuilding the things you've done. And, the funny thing is, it's not that hard. It seems hard in the beginning because maybe you've developed those, comfortable tactics that you've been using for the last few months to get by. Now you just got to recreate them. And now is the time where if you're a competitor, you can get ahead of the rest of the group. You can really make a lot of changes to your physique. You can build a lot of muscle. You can change a lot of shape. If body fat is something you got to recomp, you can do that now. And you can do that all while competitions are not really happening. So, it can seem seem to some that the best idea is to just take a break, to ease back, to take the foot off the gas and, cruise until shows start again. But I'm telling you, no, that's the wrong way to approach it. It's a better idea if you actually take the opposite approach and say, why, there's less cars on the road, I'm going to put my foot on the gas, get way ahead of the traffic, right? That's a way you could really think of this and go about it. So just do that. Start doing that now. Start improving your routines. It's January 10th. Hopefully you watch this around that time. And whenever you do watch it, as soon as the video ends, start changing habits. Start thinking about what it is. Get a pen and a paper. Write down what's going on in your life. What are you doing? In pursuit of your goals as a competitor, how well are you doing things? Am I right about those things? Have you been skipping out on the gym a bit? Have you been more lenient with the diet? Have you been off point to the point where, maybe some months last year you were doing 10 times better than you did this holiday season? That's all right, but write that down. Note that to yourself. Let yourself know that and make a mental connection to the fact that, okay, maybe your habits, even though they feel relatively the same, they're actually far off point compared to the result you would get if you just turn that dial just a little bit that other way, just a little bit, not a lot, just a little bit. You improve that nutrition, just a little bit. You improve getting in the gym, you improve the intensity of those workouts, just a little bit more. You're focused on that sleep and that water and cutting out a little bit of the junk in your diet. And here you are getting a 10 times better result for basically just a little bit more work, right? So again, I would just take this note with you. If you're going to spend any amount of time, energy, and effort working towards your goals, you might as well spend them to the max, because what's the point of doing it half otherwise? It's going to be half the result, and it's a waste of time, energy, and effort. You might as well use it all the way for what it is and get that freaking result. 2025 can be your year as a competitor. You can be winning your competitions. You can have serious chances to win your pro card. You can do all of that, and I would tell you that how that is dictated is going to be how you spend these next 3 months while the season is sleeping. While the bodybuilding world takes a break, you can jump ahead. You can get a lot of great results, and there is no better time to be doing that than right now. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I've got a lot more good stuff coming. Subscribe to the channel. Hang out with me. Thanks for watching. Coach Ryan is out.